Bongino has been oddly hidden the last week or two. The Epstein thing blew up, and this guy who, oh man, back in his podcast days, he was a warrior against the whole Epstein thing. He was gonna get to the bottom of it. Put me in, coach. Just send me to the FBI. And then he went to the FBI. And apparently Trump was like, yeah, you got to cover that thing up. We don't want that coming out. And Dan Bongino was like, yes, sir, cover up the entire thing. Who cares about the children? And it turns out that looks really bad if you're a right-wing grifter. And so he threw this hissy fit and he fled DC. He didn't work, and for some reason, because he's well-connected, he wasn't immediately fired for walking off the job. And he said, you know what? I'm not gonna, you better get rid of Pam Bondi. Why are their names so similar? If you wanna keep me. And Trump didn't listen to him at all. And he didn't quit regardless. And so he's just looking so pathetic and so corrupt that he needed to regain the narrative and tell MAGA, no, please still love me. I'm gonna get to the bottom of the deep state. And so he put this out on social media. He said, during my tenure here as the deputy director of the FBI, you know, the days when he showed up to work, I have repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. And let's just pause there. I love that he's like, you know, all those things that you've seen me do and say that you don't like. What if I told you there's stuff you can't see that makes me cool again? Can we go with that? Okay, it doesn't convince me. The director and I, Kash Patel, are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. Is this like a YouTube clickbait headline, or is this a revelation of the deep state? We're gonna conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We're gonna get to the answers we all deserve. Just don't ask me to release the Epstein files. I'm not gonna release the Epstein files. I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at the truth. Not my truth or your truth, but the truth that Trump will allow me to reveal, not the other stuff. And so here's what happened. He's an outsider in his podcast or whatever, and he's like, the deep state is doing terrible things. Put me in the government and I'll take down the deep state. So then they put him in the government, and then everybody's like, oh wait, you guys are actually the corrupt ones. You're covering up for the PDF files. So he's like, well, no, now I'm in. There's a deeper state, okay? It's buried 10 layers down. Keep me in and keep paying me, including for the days where I don't actually work, and I'll bring down that deep state. And so what happens when he doesn't do that? Is he gonna invent a third tier deep state? Like, MAGA, you can't be convinced by this. This guy just knows that his, like, whatever authenticity or rep he had is shredded at this point, and he's just desperate for you to still be there when he's eventually fired or leaves or whatever and starts up another podcast, and he desperately wants your money. Jayar, what do you think?
I don't think Bongino can really go anywhere. He knows too much. Whatever it is that he knows, that he's talking about how he's hidden it here, or that he and Kash Patel were on the interview on Fox News with Maria Bartiromo when their eyes were wide open and they kept looking at each other like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Whatever it is, he's kind of trapped, because if he leaves, the folks that are in power and whatever it is that he found out that he can't say, he's probably afraid that they're gonna be worried he's gonna reveal something and they're on his ass. There's a fear that's encompassed anybody that's discovered this. There was another time when Pam Bongino, when she was being asked about stuff, and she gasped when someone asked her about this whole thing earlier on before it really blew up and the base was upset about it. So he's trying to find some way to maybe get some kind of like support, despite all the stresses that he's going through. But you do that by going over the top. That's why he said things like, you know, like, we have this, we have these investigations, and I guarantee over the top we've been committed and hardcore. Like, you have to say really hardcore how you're doing these things, because all that's left is your rhetoric. It has to be over the top, patriotic, believe in America, and hopefully enough people will ignore what they see you're doing versus what is you're saying that you're doing. It's gonna be a problem. But last thing here, in that second paragraph, He said they're committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of law enforcement and intelligence operations. They just say these things. All that is the exact opposite of what it is that he's doing. Public corruption, we're seeing it everywhere. Political weaponization. Donald Trump just said over the weekend that he's got enemies, and he's talking about Democrats and how he's used the intelligence community to come after them. Look at what his DNI is now talking about, pushing this thing after Obama. It's constant. Everything that they're saying is the opposite of what we're seeing. You just have to keep paying attention to it.
Yeah, I love it. It's like you have the files. We want those. And he's like, well, I'm gonna find something even cooler. It's like, remember when that reporter with the mustache was like trying to like dig up the body of like that notorious gangster or whatever? Like imagine if like he was going to a place, he was like, we're gonna dig it up. And like there's a coffin in the frame right there. And everybody's like, hey, could you get that? And he's like, no, trust me. There's something really cool down here. No, but can we do that one first? And by the way, we gotta run with my little mistake. Do you have any idea how much it would bother Dan Bongino if people normalized referring to them as Pam Bondino? And he just put up pictures of them melded together because they are partners in this cover up. And that's the thing, he's just posturing. He wants to be a part of the cover up and pretend that he's still cool actually. And I don't see how that works. Like he can put out tweets like this, but again, even in this, he has to be super careful and vague. There's something there, but he can't point, like obviously it can't be about Donald Trump because he'll be fired if he implies something like that. And so he wants to be on the inside, have the access, have the power, have the money, okay, but still imply that somehow he's an outsider. No, dude, you report to Kash Patel. Kash Patel is a part of this cover up. You're not actually gonna contradict Pam Bondi. You're literally carrying water for her. You're doing, metaphorically, you're doing her work. It is Pam Bondino from floor to ceiling. It might bother you and you're super worried about whether you'll be able to like sell the next book you have ghost written for you or whatever, but you were as active a part of this cover up as everyone else. And you were sent there to do a specific job. And like with every other job you have, you refuse to actually do it.